Some machines are measured in fractions of a second, others in ultimate top speed, but a very rare dangerous few are measured entirely by the cult-like devotion they inspire. Step into the cold concrete confines of a dimly lit garage, let your eyes adjust to the shadows, and breathe in that unmistakable scent of hot oil, aged vinyl, and unburned hydrocarbons. Sitting quietly in the corner is a silhouette that looks entirely unassuming to the untrained eye. It does not have the massive aerodynamic wings of a modern supercar. It does not feature the aggressive, overly styled vents of today's hypercars. It is simply a compact, three-box design from the 1980s. Yet this exact piece of Bavarian steel, the BMW E30, is arguably the most fiercely worshipped, misunderstood, and legendary chassis in automotive history. For years, it was dismissed by the general public as just another yuppie status symbol from a bygone era of excess. But beneath that sharp, understated suit lies a dark, unforgiving, and utterly brilliant mechanical soul. This is not just a car, it is a religion of analog driving. It is the gold standard of rear-wheel drive dynamics that engineers have spent the last 40 years desperately trying to recreate. Why did a seemingly ordinary family sedan become the ultimate driving weapon for canyon carvers, professional racers, and underground drifters alike? The answer is hidden deep within secret boardroom battles, obsessive engineering decisions, and the ruthless pursuit of mechanical perfection. To truly understand the E30, we must rewind the clock to the late 1970s. The automotive world was suffering from a massive hangover following the global oil crisis. Manufacturers were panicked, downsizing their fleets and sacrificing performance for efficiency. BMW had found incredible financial success with their E21 chassis, the first true 3 Series, but behind closed doors in Munich, the engineers knew it was a compromised machine. The E21 was infamous for snap oversteer that sent inexperienced drivers spinning into ditches, and its cabin was notoriously cramped. The mandate for its replacement was impossible. Make it faster, make it more aerodynamic, make it larger inside, but do not add a single unnecessary kilogram of weight. And whatever you do not lose the aggressive soul of the brand. Enter Klaus Luth, the legendary head of design, and Boyk Boyer, the visionary tasked with sketching the future. In the smoke-filled design studios of Munich, a silent war was raging between the corporate accountants who wanted a cheap, mass-market car, and the purist engineers who demanded a technological masterpiece.
The engineers won. When the E30 was finally unveiled to the world in 1982, it was a masterclass in functional aggression. Klaus Luther refined the iconic shark-nose design of the 1970s into a sharper, more aerodynamic profile, achieving a drag coefficient of 0.38, which was highly impressive for a boxy sedan at the time. But the true magic of the E30 does not lie in its sheet metal. It lies hidden beneath the forward-hinged clamshell hood. The engine bay of an E30 is an altar to naturally aspirated brilliance, offering a distinct flavor for every type of automotive enthusiast. At the entry level, you found the unkillable M10 4-cylinder engine. This was a cast iron block so incredibly robust that BMW's motorsport division famously used standard-used M10 blocks left out in the rain to build their 1,500 horsepower Formula One turbo engines. It was agricultural, simple, and bulletproof. But for those who craved the true Bavarian experience, the velvet hammer of the E30 lineup was the M20 inline-6 engine. Smooth, torquey, and possessing an exhaust note that sounded like tearing silk as the needle swung past 4,000 revolutions per minute, the M20 was a revelation. Equipped with the advanced Bosch Motronic engine management system, which integrated fuel injection and ignition control into a single digital unit, the 2.5-liter M20B25 in the 325i delivered 168 horsepower in a chassis that weighed just around 1,200 kilograms. This power-to-weight ratio transformed the car into a legitimate giant killer. Yet, the obsessive engineers in Munich were not finished. They knew the perfectly balanced chassis was begging for a high-revving, lightweight heart. This led to the creation of the M42 engine, a brilliant twin-cam, 16-valve 4-cylinder dropped into the 318IS, featuring a forged steel crankshaft, tubular exhaust headers, and a red line that begged to be bounced off the rev limiter. The 318IS earned the street moniker of the Baby M3. Speaking of the M3, no story of the E30 is complete without bowing down to the absolute king of the lineup, powered by the mythical S14 engine. The S14 was not built for luxury. It was a bespoke, motorsport-derived homologation weapon created by the mad scientists at BMW GmbH, led by the legendary engineer Paul Roche. To dominate Group A touring car racing, BMW needed a high-revving four-cylinder. Roche's solution was brutally brilliant. He took the legendary M88 inline-six engine from the M1 supercar, literally chopped off two cylinders, and engineered it to scream past 7,000 revolutions per minute, featuring individual throttle bodies, sodium-filled exhaust valves to dissipate extreme heat, and a forged rotating assembly. The S14 was an angry, vibrating masterpiece of a motor. It produced a distinctive, mechanical induction howl that still gives motorsport historians goosebumps. Translating all of this explosive energy to the tarmac required a drivetrain built with absolute zero compromise. The E30 utilized Getrag manual transmissions, specifically the Getrag 240 and 260 models, which offered gear throws so incredibly precise they felt like racking the bolt of a high-end hunting rifle. In the M3, they installed a Getrag 265 dogleg gearbox, where first gear is positioned down and to the left, ensuring that the crucial second to third and fourth to fifth gear changes were in a straight line for split-second shifts on the racetrack. Power was sent to the rear wheels through a notoriously robust medium case, 188mm differential. When equipped with the optional mechanical limited slip differential, which utilized a 25% lockup clutch pack, the E30 transformed from a simple commuter into a scalpel. There were no electronic traction control systems, no stability management programs holding your hand. It was just you, three perfectly spaced pedals, a mechanical throttle cable, and a rear axle that responded to your right foot with zero latency. The chassis dynamics of the E30 are the stuff of automotive mythology, heavily dictated by its suspension geometry. BMW engineers obsessed over achieving a near-perfect 50-50 front-to-rear weight distribution. The front suspension utilized a tried-and-true McPherson strut design, meticulously tuned to provide steering feedback so communicative that you could practically read the date on a coin if you ran over it. The steering rack was not overly quick, but the unassisted or lightly assisted hydraulic feel connected the driver directly to the contact patch of the front tires. The rear suspension, however, is where the E30 earned its widowmaker reputation. Utilizing a semi-trailing arm design, the rear geometry was highly sensitive to load changes.
If a driver panicked and lifted off the throttle mid-corner, the weight would transfer forward, causing the rear suspension to decompress. This decompression drastically altered the rear camber and toe settings, inducing sudden and violent lift-off oversteer. In the hands of a novice, the E30 would bite hard and send you spinning into the barriers. But in the hands of a master, this dynamic flaw became a weapon. A skilled driver could manipulate this weight transfer to pivot the car on a dime, dancing on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion with surgical precision. It is a chassis that demands absolute respect, punishes hesitation, and rewards mastery like no other vehicle on the road. Beyond the mechanical wizardry, the E30 birthed some of the most fascinating engineering side quests in automotive history. Consider the story of Max Reisbach, a BMW engineer who simply wanted a practical car to take his family on vacation. In 1984, the E30 was only available as a sedan or coupe, and Max refused to buy a competitor's station wagon. So, in true rogue engineering fashion, he bought a crashed E30 sedan, rented a friend's garage, and spent 6 months secretly cutting, welding, and reshaping the rear roofline to create the very first E30 touring estate. He built it without corporate approval, using hand-formed metal and salvaged glass. When he finally drove his homemade creation to the BMW headquarters and presented it to the board of directors, they were absolutely stunned. The design was so perfectly integrated, so undeniably brilliant, that BMW put it into production, almost completely unchanged from Max's backyard prototype. Then there was the relentless pursuit of all-weather dominance, resulting in the 325iX, BMW's first foray into all-wheel drive. Long before the X-Drive systems of today, the 325iX utilized a complex Ferguson viscous coupling transfer case and epicyclic gear trains to seamlessly split torque with a 3763 rear bias, preserving the rear-wheel drive feel while allowing the E30 to absolutely humiliate its competitors on snow and gravel. Moving inside the cabin, the E30 remains an absolute triumph of driver-focused industrial design. Opening the door, you are greeted by an interior that feels less like a luxury car and more like the cockpit of an analog fighter jet. The center console is heavily angled toward the driver, a design philosophy that explicitly stated the person behind the wheel is the only one who matters.
Turn the ignition key, and the analog VDO instrument cluster comes alive, glowing in BMW's signature amber hue. This specific wavelength of orange was not chosen for aesthetics. It was scientifically selected based on aviation research to preserve the driver's natural night vision during high-speed blasts down the Autobahn at 2 a.m. Look up, and you will find the active check control panel mounted directly on the headliner, a piece of cutting-edge 1980s technology that monitored everything from coolant levels to taillight bulbs, reinforcing the feeling that you were piloting a complex piece of machinery. The heavily bolstered Recaro sport seats held you in an iron grip, while the thin-rimmed, unairbagged M-Tech steering wheel framed the tachometer with absolute perfection. There were no distracting touchscreens, no convoluted submenus. Every switch had a satisfying mechanical click. It was a sanctuary of pure focus. This uncompromising dedication to driving purity inevitably forced the E30 onto the world stage, where it would etch its name into motorsport immortality. The mid-1980s saw the eruption of Group A touring car racing, a fiercely competitive series that mandated manufacturers must race heavily modified versions of the cars they sold to the public. When Mercedes-Benz threw down the gauntlet with their Cosworth-developed 190E 2.316, the executives in Munich demanded total war. The resulting E30 M3 was a street-legal race car. To satisfy homologation rules, BMW had to sell 5,000 units to the public. They took the standard E30 body and completely re-engineered it. They aggressively blistered the front and rear fenders to accommodate massive racing slicks. They radically altered the angle of the rear window and elevated the trunk lid by 40 millimeters to feed clean air directly into the functional rear wing. In fact, the only exterior body panels the M3 shared with the standard E30 were the hood and the roof. Out on the track, this heavily modified machine was virtually unstoppable. It dominated the Deutsche Tourenwagenmeisterschaft, tore through the British Touring Car Championship, and conquered the grueling 24 hours of Nürburgring and Spa-Francorchamps. Legendary drivers like Roberto Ravaglia, Johnny Ceccato, and Emmanuel Pirro wrestled the screaming, flame-spitting M3s around the most dangerous circuits on Earth.
They bounced violently off the curbs, rubbed doors with rivals at 200 kilometers per hour, and cemented the E30 M3's legacy as the most successful road racing car in the history of human engineering. It was the ultimate David and Goliath story, a compact, four-cylinder, brick-shaped sedan humiliating heavily funded V8s and turbo engines through sheer handling brilliance, relentless reliability, and aerodynamic witchcraft. This prestigious racing pedigree naturally bled straight into the streets, birthing a tuning culture that is still thriving today. As the decades rolled on, and the E30 inevitably depreciated into the realm of affordability, during the late 1990s and early 2000s, it fell into the hands of a younger, wilder generation of enthusiasts. It quickly became the ultimate blank canvas for automotive expression. Legendary tuning houses like Alpina, AC Schnitzer, and Hartke had already proven the chassis could handle immense power. Alpina famously created the B6 3.5, absurdly dropping the massive M30 big block inline-six engine from the 7 Series directly into the tiny engine bay of the E30, creating a torque monster that could outrun contemporary Ferraris. Inspired by this, backyard mechanics began performing engine swaps in their driveways, dropping modern M5 V8s, turbocharged straight sixes, and even aggressive Japanese powertrains into the lightweight chassis. Because the E30 was so mechanically simple, it welcomed these modifications with open arms. Simultaneously, the E30 became a foundational pillar of the global drifting movement. Its predictable chassis dynamics, lightweight construction, and easily welded rear differentials made it the absolute weapon of choice for sliding sideways through mountain passes and abandoned industrial estates. From the aggressive, low-slung stance culture of California to the high-speed grip racers of the Nürburgring tourist days, the E30 proved it was a chameleon, capable of mastering any automotive discipline its owner demanded. Today, the BMW E30 has transcended its status as merely an old used car. It has officially entered the realm of fine art and high-end collectibles. The days of buying a clean, running 325i for a few $1,000s are dead and gone. Pristine examples, particularly the M3 and rare Alpina variants, now command astronomical six-figure sums at elite auction houses. But its true value cannot be measured in currency. Its value lies entirely in what it represents. We are currently living in an era where automobiles are increasingly numb, heavily insulated, and largely driven by millions of lines of software code rather than mechanical inputs. Modern cars are fast, undoubtedly,
undoubtedly, but they are incredibly sterile. The E30 is a visceral, violently loud rebellion against that sterilization. It is a pure, unfiltered connection between human and machine. It demands your absolute attention. It engages every single one of your senses, and it translates the texture of the road into your hands and spine in a way that modern engineering simply cannot replicate, no matter how hard they try. The E30 is the smell of burning brake pads after a canyon run, the glorious sound of an inline-six engine singing near redline, and the sheer terror and subsequent euphoria of catching a slide exactly at the ragged edge of physics. It is a time capsule of automotive purity that reminds us why we fell in love with driving in the first place. If you have ever had the privilege of gripping the unassisted steering wheel of a perfectly dialed-in E30 on a winding back road, listening to the mechanical symphony echoing off the trees, you already know the secret. You know exactly why this boxy, misunderstood legend will be whispered about in garages for centuries to come. If this deep dive into the raw, analog heart of the E30 resonated with the purist inside you, I want to hear from you. Head down to the comments and tell me about your dream E30 build. Whether it is a concourse-ready M3 or a driveway-built drift missile, do not forget to crush that like button to support the channel and hit subscribe so you never miss another immersive journey into the hidden, mechanical secrets of automotive history. Until next time, keep the revs high, keep the traction control off, and keep the analog spirit alive.